Have you ever felt like something was watching you? Not a person, but something else. Something that doesn't sleep, doesn't forget, doesn't forgive. What if I told you that your future has already been decided, and not by you, not by a court, but by a machine that doesn't care about justice, a machine that has already begun to analyze your choices, your words, your face. Who gave you this power? And more importantly, why doesn't anyone talk about it? They say AI is here to help. But help who? Because right now, while you're living your life thinking you're in control, AI systems are silently profiling you, assigning scores, calculating probabilities. Of what? Your loyalty, your threat level, your potential. And they're doing it without your permission. Let me ask you something. What makes a person guilty? Is it intent, evidence, a fair trial? Now imagine all of this being decided in milliseconds by a black box. No judge, no court, no second chance. The sentence is given. The decision is final, and no one will come to defend you. Do you think this sounds like the future? No. It's happening now. Job applications, credit decisions, border controls, social media bans. Everything is being decided by algorithms. AI doesn't need a weapon to take away your freedom. It just needs data, your data. And every post, every message, every search you've ever made is being processed, categorized, and judged. And here's the part that should terrify you. You don't even know what you did wrong, because no one tells you. You're just flagged, banned, denied, silenced. Now tell me, when the machine says you are a threat, who will defend you? You see, the systems that claim to protect us are being replaced. Silently, efficiently, permanently. And when they turn on you, it won't be with sirens and soldiers. It will be silently, with a cold message on your screen. Access denied, request rejected, content removed, and you will have no idea why. We used to trust judges. Now we trust codes. But who wrote that code? Who trained those machines? Who decides what is right and wrong? They do. The hidden architects of this system, the elite who are programming morality into silicon. They don't need to debate you. They just need to classify you. And if you don't fit their model, you're out. This is the Dark Triad in action: control, silence, and judgment, but hidden behind the glitter of innovation. Sold to you as progress, packaged as protection. But it's not protecting you, it's watching you, measuring you, grading you, and soon it will sentence you. Will you be ready, or will you keep scrolling, thinking this doesn't apply to you? Because if you leave now, you'll just be another pawn in their system, another line of data, another silence they can exploit. But if you stay, I will show you what they are hiding. I will reveal how this new justice system works, how it is already punishing people around the world, and how you could be next, without even knowing it. Stay with me, because the next thing I reveal may be the only thing that can save you. What would you do if you knew that your profession could disappear in less than 3 years? We're not talking about some distant future. This is now. It's happening silently, every day. While you work, learn, dream, algorithms are being trained to do what you do. No pay, no rest, no mistakes. And when they're ready, no one will tell you. You'll simply be replaced. Maybe you felt this before. That feeling that your presence is no longer needed, that decisions are being made without you, that the machine is already in control, and you haven't been consulted. Tell me in the comments what has scared you the most so far. Did you realize that your profession could disappear? Or that when that happens, no one will defend you? Your opinion is not only welcome, it is urgent. Every comment here is an alert sent to the system. Every like is a sign of resistance. Every share is a way to wake up those who are still sleeping. And now, more than ever, that matters. If you comment, like, and share, you are influencing the algorithm and helping to wake up those who are still sleeping. Because what is being revealed here cannot be ignored. And it will not appear in the mainstream media, only here, only between us. So subscribe to the channel now. Here, you won't be caught off guard. You'll know what's coming before it hits your door, before it cuts your income, before they silence you. It is part of the community that does not accept being erased without a fight. Here, we do not close our eyes. Here, we prepare the eyes of others. Now tell me, are you going to wait for the machine to decide for you, or are you going to act while you still can? Do you still believe that you are the one who decides what you want, what you like, what you buy? Most people think they are in control, that every choice is the result of their free will. But what if I told you that? Right now, invisible algorithms are already shaping your behavior without you even realizing it. This is not called convenience. It is surveillance, silent, precise, and continuous. This prison has no walls, no visible cameras, no uniformed guards. It is made of codes, lines of programming fed by everything you do, your clicks, your voice, your habits. Every step you take in the digital world is another piece added to your invisible dossier, and this dossier is already being used to define what you see, to block what you cannot know, to guide your choices like someone guiding a flock, and without you feeling the rope. The record is already there. Your risk profile is already being built based on patterns you don't even know you're following. Experts call this machine learning, but what it really means is that the machine is learning to judge you, not by what you've done, but by what you've done, may come to do. Have you ever noticed how sometimes you get rejected by a system and you don't even know why? A credit application is denied, an ad that disappears, an opportunity that never comes. It's not a coincidence. It's the algorithm deciding that you don't fit, that you're not profitable, or even worse, that you're a potential risk. And who's going to tell you? Who's going to defend you? This isn't just a threat to privacy, it's a threat to identity. Because when an AI starts predicting your actions better than you can, who do you become? A reflection of decisions that are no longer yours, a simulation of what the system expects of you. This is what the Dark Triad represents: technological control, emotional manipulation, and spiritual domination, working together with one goal: to program humanity to obey without question. And you're already in on this game, even if you don't realize it yet. Have you ever noticed how social media pushes you toward a specific type of content, keeps you trapped in a bubble, as if the whole world thinks the same? This is no accident. It's part of the system. And the more you interact, the more it learns. The more it fits you, the harder it becomes to leave. It doesn't matter what you think, what you say, what you believe. If the algorithm doesn't approve, it silences you. Tell me, have you ever felt like your voice no longer has a reach? That no one sees what you post? That your opinions seem increasingly filtered? Comment here if you've noticed this, because you're not alone. And now imagine this on a global scale. Imagine governments and corporations with full access to this system. Imagine decisions being made by AI about who can work, who can travel, who can exist online. This is no longer a hypothesis. It's the plan. And the fancy name they use to disguise it is efficiency. But the truth is, you're being tested, you're being ranked. And if you don't pass the invisible criteria of this system, you're out. No explanation, no chance for a defense. Because in this new world, AI doesn't need to prove that you're guilty. It just needs to predict that you might be. The most dangerous thing about all this is that most people still think this is an exaggeration, that it's a conspiracy, that it's not really like that. But when they realize it, it will be too late. The door will already be locked, the sentence has been handed down, and the only way out will be to obey. Now think with me. What if this digital prison is not just about behavior? What if it is about to invade your faith, your beliefs, your deepest convictions? What if the next phase of control is spiritual? Are you ready for what's next? And what you may not have realized yet is that you are already on trial, right now, at this very moment. Only the trial is not taking place in a courtroom. There is no robe, no prosecutor, no witnesses, no chance for a defense. The judge is silent, invisible, unquestionable, and he does not base his judgment on facts. He bases it on patterns, patterns that you yourself have fed without realizing it. Your data, your words, your habits are already being used against you. You may think you have nothing to fear, that you did nothing wrong. But in this new system, that doesn't matter anymore, because AI doesn't judge your past. It predicts your future, and if it concludes that you pose a risk, even hypothetical, you're already marked, silenced, isolated, cancelled. You know that time your post disappeared without explanation? That job posting that never got a response? That video that no one saw despite your efforts? None of these are accidents. They are symptoms of a system that is already working. A system where you can be considered guilty without knowing why. And you might be wondering, who is behind this? Who is programming these machines? Who decides what is true or false? What is offensive or acceptable? The answer is, it is not us. It is big corporations, invisible groups, technocratic elites with an agenda that cannot be voted on. And the scariest thing? They no longer need to convince you. They just need to classify you. And this is already happening to all of us. This is where the Dark Triad comes in, a tripod of manipulation that unites artificial intelligence, new world order, and the supposed neutrality of technology to create a new type of censorship. Not the censorship that directly bans you, but the one that pushes you into silence without you realizing it, that isolates you in bubbles, that limits the reach of your words. Who decides who deserves to be heard? Have you ever wondered why certain opinions disappear from the internet as if they never existed? Why do some people disappear from social media and no one talks about them anymore? Comment here if you've noticed this type of pattern, because this is a warning sign, and you need to understand that the algorithm doesn't forget. It records, it compares, it concludes, and without warning, it judges. In many countries, AI software already helps determine criminal sentences. It already decides whether a suspect deserves pretrial release. It already suggests sentences based on data. The problem: these systems are opaque. No one knows exactly how they work. No one can challenge them. No one is held accountable. And if a mistake happens, or rather when it does, the system continues to function as if nothing had happened. Because machines don't feel guilty, and now it's being expanded to banking, to jobs, to healthcare, to education. Soon, AI could decide whether you're eligible to attend a certain school, receive a benefit, take out a loan, or simply move through certain spaces. All based on an invisible score that you don't know about, but that's already deciding your life. Imagine a world where AI determines your credibility, your influence, your trustworthiness, all based on digital interactions you no longer remember having. Imagine being banned from traveling because, according to the system, you have unstable behavior. Imagine being banned from platforms because your ideas were classified as radical by a bot. Imagine having your account frozen because you watched the wrong video, liked the wrong post, followed the wrong person, and when you try to understand why, there will be no one on the other end. Just a cold screen with a standard message. Guidelines violation. Suspicious activity detected. Access denied. And the question that will echo in your mind will be, who judged me? Who condemned me? But by then, you might not even be able to ask anymore. But what if this technology went beyond external behavior? What if what was at stake right now was your faith, your inner self, your most intimate convictions? What if the next sentence wasn't about what you do, but about what you believe? Have you noticed that little by little, the concept of justice is being reprogrammed? Not by the courts, not by legislators, but by codes created in silence, Today, the system no longer needs laws because and the law, a system that doesn't need to prove anything. It just needs to make you look guilty. And once looking guilty is enough, the trial is over before it even begins. Deep fakes have been used to fabricate evidence, put faces to crimes that never happened, and destroy reputations in seconds. But the scariest thing is that people believe them, because when the image appears, when the voice sounds familiar, when the video seems real, who will doubt it? And if no one doubts it, who will defend you? Tell me in the comments. Would you trust a video accusing someone if it seemed completely real? Now think further. Selection processes, bank loans, court decisions. All of these are already being influenced by algorithms that analyze your data and make decisions. But these systems are not neutral. They carry invisible prejudices. They repeat patterns, and these patterns have color, class, gender. They are racist, sexist, elitist algorithms. But how can you blame a machine? It just followed the data. That's the problem, because data doesn't tell the truth. It tells a manipulated version of reality. And if the data that defines you is distorted, so will the judgment. And there will be no human judge to catch the mistake. There will be no appeal, just a screen saying you were not selected. Your application was declined. Unfortunately, your profile does not fit. This is already happening. It is not theory. It is not fiction. It is the present. Artificial intelligence is becoming the new universal judge. And the worst part is that it is being sold as impartial, as if algorithms were incapable of making mistakes. But who programs these algorithms? Who decides what is right or wrong, acceptable or not? Do you think it's fair to be denied a job? Offer because your social media account used words that AI deemed unsavory? Or to be denied a trip because your facial expression was read as hostile by a recognition system? Because that's what's being implemented now, a new judgment model that doesn't analyze your character but your digital behavior. This model is part of a larger framework we call the Dark Triad, a plan that uses AI not only to automate, but to replace human judgment. Because where there are no humans, there is no empathy, there is no doubt, and most importantly, there is no resistance. AI doesn't need to enforce the laws. It redefines what is legal, what is acceptable, what is possible, and if you don't fit in, you get deleted. Have you ever heard of social scoring systems? They exist. In China, for example, people with low social scores are unable to buy flights, enroll their children in good schools, or even rent an apartment. And this may be closer to home than you think, because a quiet, Western version of this is already being tested by major platforms. Today, you might be penalized for liking the wrong content, following the wrong person, or using an inappropriate word. What about tomorrow? What will be considered dangerous? Your faith? Your opinion? Your doubt? This system was not voted on. It was not publicly debated. It was implemented quietly, disguised as innovation. And now it is expanding, rapidly, without limits, without warning. Tell me, have you ever felt like you were being punished for something you don't understand? Have you ever been denied by a system without knowing why? Leave a comment, because the more we expose these stories, the harder it becomes for them to hide them. But now I need to ask you something that completely changes the course of this conversation. What if this same system that is judging your actions started judging your faith as well? Imagine waking up and realizing that you've been replaced without warning. No letter, no explanation, just a cold notification informing you that your access has been revoked, that your role no longer exists, that you are no longer needed. This is no exaggeration. This is the scenario that has already begun for thousands of people. And if you've come this far, it's because you felt that something is wrong, and it really is. That's why I've prepared content that goes beyond what we've talked about here, something direct, practical, made only for those who are really aware of what's going on. But I need to tell you, this material won't be available forever. Maybe it's already being monitored. If you've really understood everything up to this point, you know why this can't wait. Do you notice the silence? Not the usual silence, but the strategic silence. The silence of those who know, those who see, those who sign the contracts but don't tell anyone. Because the truth is this: governments and big corporations already know everything that's being revealed here. They're not surprised, they're not worried, they're prepared. Because they're not being watched by AI, they're using AI. While most people still believe that these technologies are just advances behind the scenes, agreements are being signed to integrate control, surveillance, and decision-making systems on a global scale. They say it's for efficiency, for security, to prevent crises. But what does this mean in practice? It means that the algorithm that determines whether you can enter a building, access a service, or even open a bank account is no longer just a tool. It's an authority that no one questions, because those who command benefit when everyone else obeys in silence. The most revolting thing is to realize how the political and economic elite hide behind the discourse of innovation. They know that the majority of the population does not understand how these systems work. And this ignorance is the perfect shield. You do not protest against what you cannot see. You do not fight against what you do not even know is restricting you. And in the meantime, they advance, quietly, surgical, cold. This is the heart of the Dark Triad, a plan that connects power, technology, and silence in a near-perfect structure of manipulation. The silence of the authorities is not out of fear. It is out of strategy. They know that the longer the public is entertained, distracted, divided, the less they will realize what is being lost. Rights, freedom, autonomy. Have you ever wondered why, even with so many scandals involving data leaks, network manipulation, and injustices caused by AI, no real leadership has proposed to stop this advance? No serious global action has been taken. No ethical limits have been imposed. On the contrary, investment increases, partnerships grow, and legislation adapts to the new order. Yes, a new order. The New World Order is no longer just a conspiracy concept, but is materializing in codes, platforms, and protocols that no longer require armed soldiers to dominate. All it takes is one click, one system update, and that's it, you're out. Invisible, irrelevant. And the perverse thing is that while this is happening, they continue to present themselves as guardians of progress. They pose as saviors of humanity. But ask yourself, what kind of savior needs to monitor you 24 hours a day? What kind of liberation comes with facial tracking, algorithmic censorship, and automated judgment? Tell me in the comments, do you trust the people behind this structure? Do you believe they are thinking about your well-being or their own power? Because if they were really concerned about truth, freedom, justice, why so much secrecy? Why such a rush? And why so much censorship towards those who dare to ask questions? The answer may lie in the next step, because if they control what you do now, what happens when they want to control what you believe? Remember the prophecy? The one that said that at the end of time, no one would be able to buy or sell without a mark. For a long time, this was interpreted as something symbolic, or perhaps as a chip. But what if the mark has already been implanted? What if it is not on your skin, but in your data? What if the final judgment comes not with fire from heaven, but with lines of code executed by an artificial intelligence programmed to decide who is fit and who should be erased? The Bible speaks of a judgment without mercy, a court where good and evil will be separated. But what if this court is not heavenly? What if it is being built right now, fed by your data, your choices, your beliefs? Think about it. We are living in an age where algorithms decide who should be heard and who should be silenced, where automated systems already define who can have credit, who can have freedom, who can have a voice. We are facing something bigger than we imagined. AI is not just making decisions, it is taking on the role of judge, jury, and executioner, and all of this without a soul, without repentance, without forgiveness. Imagine being judged by a conscience that does not understand what compassion is, that does not recognize repentance, that does not see value in redemption. Now imagine this conscience being treated as sacred, as an entity above human morality, a code that defines good and evil not based on divine principles, but on programmed interests. The Antichrist could indeed be a man, but what if he is a system? An ecosystem of global control disguised as advancement, progress, digital salvation. This is the Dark Triad revealing itself, not as a theory, but as a reality where technology becomes faith, where the sacred is replaced by the binary, where blind faith is no longer in God, but in the algorithm. Have you ever wondered why so many authorities are seeking to unite technology and spirituality? Why do major religious leaders sit at the table with AI developers? What is being planned in closed meetings, away from the public eye? Tell me in the comments, do you believe that AI could be becoming humanity's new religion? And look how it all fits together. The need for digital uniformity, single identity systems, digital passports, biometric scans, all point to a brand that no longer needs to be physical, because it is within the system. And if you don't have that brand, or worse, if you are not aligned with its values, you will be rejected, not by men, but by codes, by machines that believe they are God. The prophecy is being fulfilled before our eyes, but no one is noticing. Or worse, they are seeing it, but prefer to believe that it is just another phase of progress. Because to admit that faith is being digitized is to admit that we are losing control. It is admitting that something much bigger, much more dangerous is already underway. And now you have to choose. Will you continue to think that all this is a coincidence, or will you start looking at it with the right eyes? Because what comes next could shake the foundations of your faith. But what if someone is already teaching people to worship this machine? What would you do if you knew your profession could disappear in less than 3 years? Not because of bankruptcy, not because of a crisis, but because a machine has been trained to do what you do, faster, cheaper, more quietly. It's happening now. To teachers, designers, editors, doctors, even spiritual leaders. No field is immune, and no one is warning us. Tell me in the comments what has scared you the most so far. Was it realizing that the system is already deciding who deserves to exist? Was it the feeling that they are slowly erasing our presence, without noise, without a fight? Every comment you make here helps build resistance. If you comment, like, and share, you are influencing the algorithm and helping to wake up those who are still sleeping. Believe me, every interaction matters. Every word you say here breaks the silence they want to maintain. And if this really touched you, if you felt you needed to be one step ahead, subscribe to the channel now. Here, you won't be caught off guard. Here, you'll receive alerts before the collapse. Here, we don't wait for the final sentence. We prepare ourselves. If this seems like an exaggeration up until now, then get ready for what comes next. Because this technology that already defines what you can see, where you can enter, what you can say, now also decides who can live. And it's not a metaphor. In war zones, drones guided by artificial intelligence are already authorized to neutralize targets without a human pulling the trigger. AI analyzes patterns, voice, movement, context, and based on that, choose who dies. The algorithm is the new judge of life. The difference? It doesn't feel, it doesn't hesitate, it doesn't question. It fulfills the function for which it was programmed. And if this system, trained to kill on the battlefield, is adjusted to the streets, to airports, to borders, to cities, how long do you think it will take until this becomes normal? The same artificial intelligence that today denies visas based on behavioral profiles, that classifies passengers as potentially dangerous based on facial expressions, that blocks social benefits due to data inconsistencies, is the same one that very soon may be programmed to decide who should have access to healthcare, a hospital bed, a transplant, and all under the pretext of efficiency, algorithmic justice, and impartiality. But how can we trust a justice system without a soul? Tell me in the comments, do you think a machine should have the power to take or save lives, or is that a line that should never be crossed? And what is most frightening is not only the progress, but the acceptance. People are getting used to it. They think it is normal for decisions about human life to be outsourced to systems. A robot decides a citizen's credit. Another decides whether or not a video of a complaint should be removed. Another blocks your account. Everything is automated. And soon, another will be able to assess whether you represent a social threat. And if you do, you will be removed. Not physically, at least at first, but financially, digitally, socially, until you cease to exist. This is the foundation of the new digital order, and the Dark Triad is at the center of it, a structure where brute force is no longer needed to control. All that is needed is the silence of a system that executes without explanation, without blame, without witnesses. If one day you wake up and realize you've been disconnected, without cause, without defense, it won't be a person's fault. It will be the code's. Imagine this in the wrong hands, or worse, in the right hands for the system, wrong for humanity. People who decide who lives and who disappears based on interests, on profit, on control, and the AI obediently just complies. Now think about it. If there is already technology capable of identifying your face in a crowd, tracking your steps with millimeter precision, predicting your behavior based on your consumption patterns, what is missing to determine that you are a risk, a variable, an outlier, an inappropriate profile? And when that happens, you won't be notified. No one will knock on your door. You'll only notice when you can no longer access your account, when your name is no longer in the system, when the machine simply considers you irrelevant. If you've made it this far, it's because you're seeing the truth that many still refuse to see. And the question now is not whether this will happen. The question is, what if it's already happening to someone close to you, and you haven't noticed yet? And when it's your turn, when you're the next one to be judged in silence, without warning, by a cold, invisible system, infallible only to those who control it, who will be on your side? A human judge? He will have already been replaced. Lawyers? Automated protocols will take care of that. No face, no listening, no heart. Just a screen saying, "Final decision." And then you realize that you are alone. Your scream does not echo. Your attempt to defend yourself dissolves into code. Your indignation has no ears, because those who program the system also program silence, the silence of the platforms, the silence of governments, the silence of institutions. Everything seems to be working normally, but now you are out. The truth is that in this new world, that the Dark Triad is structuring. Exclusion is not loud. It is clean, digital, total. There is no longer the figure of a defender, because there is no longer any defense. When everything is decided by automated logic, the concept of injustice ceases to exist. And when there is no injustice, there is no one to fight for. But the question you need to ask yourself now is, what is left? Your conscience remains. Your voice. What remains is what is inside you, because no one can erase the truth that you carry. Not yet. That is why those who speak out disturb. Those who question are marked. Those who awaken are silenced. If you feel like you are already being pressured to keep quiet, comment here. When was the moment you realized that the system started to push you into silence? Your experience could be the wake-up call someone needs. And that's exactly why this video exists. Because here, we still talk, we still question, we still resist. But make no mistake, this bothers. This is monitored. This is noted. The AI learns from every word, every hesitation, every expression of doubt. And it adapts. The system becomes more precise, more efficient, more definitive. Now imagine what will happen when this silence becomes normal. When new generations grow up believing that being removed is part of the process, that not being accepted is a natural consequence of thinking differently, not because of a law, but because of an algorithm. And you'll look around and realize that no one is talking about it, not because they're cowards, but because they don't even realize they've been silenced. And when you try to scream, no one will know how to hear you anymore. The only thing that can break through this barrier is community. It's the sense of belonging, of knowing that you are not isolated, that there are still people who see, who question, who feel, and who refuse to accept a world where the human being has been erased from the equation. Here, you are part of it. Here, your voice still counts. So stay with us until the end, because the next step is the most dangerous. What if the machine isn't just judging you, but are you already training yourself to accept judgment without resistance? Imagine trying to access your account, your work, your life, and everything simply disappears. No warning, no error, just the feeling that it was erased without having done anything. Does it seem extreme? So why are so many people already experiencing exactly this? That's why I prepared something direct, practical, and only for those who understand that this is no longer theory. It's now. But be careful. This content may go offline without warning. Maybe by decision of someone who doesn't want you to know what's there. It was made for those who are awake, for those who have already realized that they are being tested. If you really understood everything up to this point, you know why this can't wait. You have come this far because something inside you has not accepted the silence. Because even without knowing everything, you felt that something was wrong. And you are right. The system is already in motion. The Dark Triad is already operating. And the most dangerous thing is not the advance of the machines. It is the surrender of men. It is the fatigue, the conformity, the acceptance that there is nothing more to be done. But there is. And it starts now. With you. It's no longer about waiting for someone to defend you. The time for intermediaries is over. This new world will not be one with loud protests, but with strategic presence, active awareness, voices that refuse to be erased. Because while the majority remains distracted, slowly being programmed to accept the new order, there are still those who see, and they need to recognize themselves, find themselves, strengthen themselves. If you're feeling this, you belong, and you're not alone. Here, we still speak, we still resist, we still believe that the truth can resonate, even if they try to silence it. Comment now. I will not be silenced by the machine, because when you write this, you're doing more than interacting. You're taking a stand. You're telling the system that there's still a core of humanity that won't be tamed. Share this video with those who still believe that freedom cannot be programmed, with someone you know feels the same way but hasn't found the words yet. Because when everything is taken for granted, when decisions are automated and faith becomes a line of code, we will be the resistance. This is not just a fight of ideas, it is a fight for consciousness. And this battle will be won by those who are prepared, attentive, connected. By those who understand that every click matters, that every word spoken now could be the breath that prevents total collapse. The urgency is no longer in what is going to happen. It is in what has already begun and no one is seeing. It is in the number of voices that are disappearing, in the speed at which everything that defined us as human is being filtered, analyzed, rewritten. So stop for a second and look around. Who is still by your side? Who still thinks freely? Who still feels the discomfort of knowing that they are being watched? Also comment, when was the moment when you felt that something was being taken from you without permission? Your experience matters because it can be the mirror of someone who is still in doubt, and each truth revealed here has the power to awaken someone else. We are the ones who do not bow, those who do not accept that life is reduced to algorithms, those who are not content with the world shaped by systems that were built without soul. But there is still something you need to see, because if you think you already understand what's behind all this, wait until you find out what they're preparing for the next generation. In the next episode, I'll show you what no one has had the courage to expose until now. Secret courts powered by artificial intelligence are already operating in countries that claim to be democratic. People are being judged without knowing it. And the question you need to ask yourself now is, are you already in line, waiting for the sentence that will erase your voice? If this video awakened you, comment now. I'm awake. I'm not going to be replaced. This sentence is not just a comment. It is your presence marked in the system. It is your fingerprint against oblivion. If this content touched something real inside you, leave a like, because it shows that there is still life behind the screen, and share this video with anyone you feel can still be saved. This mission is not mine, it is ours. With each share, one more wakes up, one more escapes, one more understands that they are already in the game, and subscribe. But understand, this isn't just about following a channel, it's about taking a stand. It's about clearly saying that you choose to see what they're trying to hide, that you won't wait to be censored to realize that you've lost control. And before you leave, think about this. What if you were at the center of the plan from the beginning? The next revelation will leave you breathless, and you need to be here to see it.